We are on the verge of a war with Pakistan.
नाम क्या है तुम्हारा?
John, hello and welcome to Quint. You've described this film as a political thriller, an espionage thriller.
Yeah.
But you also did Madras Cafe. Parmanu was also sort of based on real events. So is Batla House. Are these themes that you're just gravitating towards, or is it coincidence?
I just like these stories. I don't know why. I just love some of these stories, and I just feel that they need to be told. And sometimes I feel I'm fortunate that they've come to me. I'm grateful they've come to me. Sometimes I feel even more grateful that I'm producing them. I feel the best when I'm acting in them, like raw. So I just think there are stories that need to be told, and I always say that fact is stranger than fiction. And sometimes for me to create a fictitious story seems far more difficult now than just picking up a factual story and saying, hey, listen, this really exists. Why did you say this?
Right. But this becoming a pattern is never a concern.
I'm doing Pagalpanti. I've just come for a day, and it's a madcap comedy with Anees Bazmi, who I love and adore. And I'll be doing comedies after that again. So I'm not categorized myself as an action hero or a real life space enthusiast or a comedy. I'm doing all kinds of films. Yeah.
So I was seeing the trailer, and I've seen some comments on the trailer, and someone said that, oh, this looks like Razi. And that's when I thought that a lot of people liked that film is because it was quite subtle in its take on patriotism, and it wasn't jingoistic. So when you're doing a film like this, are these things that you sort of mull over at the script level? Is it something that you think about?
First thing I do is I don't see comments. So, because it's a waste of time. But definitely, I just mull over the script, and we obviously want to make different films. So, we don't want to make a Me Too film or a film that existed. So, the idea was to make something different, and Raw, trust me, is a completely different film. Whereas Razi is a very human, emotional story. I haven't seen Razi, I apologize. But this is a political thriller, like an edge of the seat thriller. And that's why they're two completely different films. This has a backdrop of war. So it's a completely different space. Yes, it's about two people probably going into the same country, but they're completely two different films. I wouldn't do something that's jingoistic. I am patriotic, but again, when you really sell patriotism on your sleeve or when you wear it on your sleeve, then it gets a bit too much. So when told in a particular context, you become responsible. And when you're doing a film that's so sensitive in its content, your telling has to be responsible and correct and credible. You can't mess around with it. You can't go wrong with it, which is why I give complete credit to my director, Robbie, because his father also worked in the military intelligence. The kind of research that's done in this for 5 years, I can confidently say that nothing you're going to see on screen is even a creative liberty.
You were in Satyameva Jayate last, and do you take the sort of feedback that came for it, that kind of vigilantism is probably unhealthy message to give out to people? Is that something you think about? I mean, you think you'd look at it?
I don't think about what people say. I really don't. I think about what I believe would entertain people, and there are people who like it, there are people who won't like it. It's absolutely okay, and they have every right to not like it or like it. So I think I did Satyamev Jayate because I wanted to do a hardcore Bollywood masala film, and I loved Milab's dialogues, and I said, listen, I have to do a film like this. It's Diwar unloaded, and I want to make this happen, and that's why I did it. And people questioned me and said, are you sure you really want to do this? I said, yeah, totally, I want to do it. And we validated it with our numbers, so it's fine.
You've also been a very brave producer. I mean, you've backed something like Vicky Donor, Madras Cafe, something that people wouldn't otherwise do. But I read an interview, you said that I haven't really made I don't know if you said this, but you said I haven't really made a lot of money, but I do it because I get the respect for it, and that's something that makes me happier. But what's the plan? What's the plan for the production house? Is it still really hard to make a smaller film?
So the plan is to make the kind of films I've been making. The fact is, you're right, I haven't made a lot of money because most of my partners have not paid me. But that's fine. Maybe they'll pay me someday after watching this interview on the Quint. Maybe they'll feel bad. But the plan is to continue making the kind of films I want to make. Because I want to tell good stories. And I want to tell good stories that don't necessarily have John Abraham. I want to tell good stories. So if it's another great action film and I feel Varun Dhawan's the right choice for it, I feel Tiger's the right choice, I feel Ayushman's the right choice. So maybe 3 newcomers are the right choice, I'll take any of them. But I want the hero of my film to be the content.
But you also said that you don't read comments, so I'm assuming you don't use social media, which is like the new fad.
Yeah.
It's
So I don't because, and that's a personal thing. Now I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I don't because I find it very toxic. Because every time I read some comment, it goes down to country or religion, and then it gets abusive. So
it is quite nice.
yeah, so I said, listen, there's no point in reading this. I'm not saying the good people don't exist. I mean, I'm sure. See, I love animals. And when I go onto a welfare of stray animals site, there's such beautiful people. So there's so much help and beauty out there, and they're lovely people. But somehow, where I operate from, I don't see too much good. So I don't see the point of me being around. So I might as well get off at some point.
So yeah, it just doesn't.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah. So I may just get off at some point. I don't know when. I won't make an announcement. I'll just probably switch off. Yeah.
Well, I hope all the good energy comes towards the film.
Yeah, let's
all the
hope,
very
yeah.
best for the film, and thank you so much for talking to us, John. Really, all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.